Hello friends, in this essay we are going to discuss Of Studies, an essay written by Sir Francis Bacon. I will not go deep into the life of Sir Francis Bacon because everyone knows it, you must be knowing about it, but let me give you a few things about Sir Francis Bacon. He was born in 1561, died in 1626 in England. He was writing, he was a philosopher, he was a statesman, he was associated with politics. He has written many things. As I said, he was a philosopher. He wrote Advancement of Learning. There are many things that he wrote. And the science that we study these days, I think he was the inventor of scientific method, empiricism. He popularized inductive method. Inductive method is when you make small discoveries, and on the basis of those small discoveries, you reach a general conclusion. For example, if I say in my family, my mother eats with her left hand, my father eats with his left hand, and my sister eats with his left hand. So these are the three information that I have, and on the basis of three propositions, I have made a conclusion that all the members in my family are left-handed. They eat with their left hand. So the conclusion I have given you is drawn from the basis of the three propositions that my mother, my sister, and my father use their left hand to eat. So this is the inductive method. This is a simple example, but in science, this approach was very much new in those days. Why? Because in those days, if you get sick, it was assumed, there was a presumption that there is an evil lurking on your life. And we need a priest to get that evil out of your body. There was no discussion of what kind of disease you might be suffering from. So there was no such assumption, but Francis Bacon used his inductive method. He said, no, we are going to look into it. We are going to find out what made him sick. Is it a drug? Is it a medicine? Is it a bad food? Is it just a food poisoning? Because stars don't care about why did you get sick. They have no interest in an individual's life. He found out the method to cure a person, and also in philosophy. His literary and professional works, we have divided his works into three parts: philosophical, literary, and professional. So we are going to talk about his literary work, essays. And the first essay that we are having today is Of Studies. So before we continue this essay, before we dive into this essay, let me give you one major information, that this guy has read a lot. This guy has read a lot. So if a person like Francis Bacon is telling you that why should you study, we must listen to him before we decide whether or not to study or not to study. So in the first four lines he says, let me read them for you. Studies serve for delight, for ornament, and for ability. The chief use for delight is in privateness and retiring. For ornament is in discourse, and for ability is in the judgment and disposition of business. In the first four lines, his style is very terse. He's not going to go roundabout. He's going to tell you on your face that what is the truth in his opinion. So in his first sentence, Bacon is going to tell you about three benefits of study. For delight. Delight means pleasure, simply entertainment. So as I said, he was writing in the time of Elizabethan. No Netflix, no Amazon Prime, nothing, no video games. There was only one forms of entertainment. There were very less forms of entertainment. And those lesser forms of entertainment were only available to some smaller section of society. But he was writing for a larger part of society. So for delight, for pleasure, books are going to entertain you. They are going to take you into another world. How? Just like you get transported into a new world while watching a blockbuster flick. You are watching a movie. You are just simply inside that movie with the killing of antagonist. You You yourself kill him. You identifies yourself with the protagonist. You become the hero, and you just get lost in the world of the director. And the same thing happens with reading book. You read a book, and suddenly you are somewhere else. So, for delight, books were the only forms of entertainment. And there's one more observation that I made it, that we don't use books for entertainment anymore. Some of them use it. You must be using them, but using them for entertainment, delight, it's simply that how you train your mind. You can train your mind to watch Netflix flicks, and you can just lost yourself in books. So it depends how you train your mind, and it depends on the time you are living in the time you are living in. Isn't privateness and retiring? In those days, you are home after finishing the day's work. We switch on television to lift our pressures, our tiredness off our minds. But in those days, books were not burden, but a way to refresh our minds. And when you are, for example, let me tell you, for retirement, he's using a word retirement, but it does not mean that when you retire from your post, or you're retired from your service at the age of 60. No, you don't retire that. After doing your work throughout the day, you come back home. In 16th century, there is no electricity, there are just lamps, so there are no mobile phones that you can fall back onto. Today, you come back to your home and you just open your Facebook feed and just get lost into the world. But in those days, there were only books and a lamp, and you have to use that lamp to get into that world. After that, for retiring and privateness, and for ornament. Ornament are used to decorate something, but what do you decorate when you conversate? If I am talking to you and I need ornaments, and books are going to provide that. So what books are providing me are the words, vocabulary, and ideas. And these three things, I think vocabulary and ideas are two things. Words fall in line with the idea of vocabulary. So vocabulary and ideas, they are going to impress other people, and they are going to lift your status higher than all the other people. So for ornament, books are going to help you. You can win an argument with a fact, or we do learn this from internet in these days. But in Bacon's time, vocabulary, ideas, diction, and manner of structuring a sentence was sourced from the books. There is only way you can learn new things that is from books. So the third benefit of studying is the ability, your talent. Where do you use this talent? You use this talent to make judgment in your life. Judgment, decision making. Decision making in what? In every matter, in your career, in your love life, in your sports life, in your day-to-day life, you have to make judgments, and some of the judgments are very, very difficult. You have to pick one course, you have to pick one college, you have to pick a life partner, and you have to make some judgment. And how are you going to do that? You have to study the people who have made very good judgments in the past. And where do you get it? Where do you get those people? Because some of the people who would be very good at making judgments have died long before you were born. And the only way you can get them, through some contact. Whether they have written something, a book, in which they have infused their knowledge, and you can get that knowledge from reading their books. If you want to become a sports person, you have to have someone who can guide you. But you are all alone, you are in a village, and you can have his book, and you can read his thoughts, that what kind of impediments that he had in his life, and how he overcome those fears. Yeah, maybe everyone has his own life, his or her life, and everyone has different challenges. So a book cannot help you completely, but definitely can serve you and can give you a good direction, because the direction is very important. Power is not only important, because you can have power to go in any directions. any direction. But if you go into a wrong direction, towards a wrong direction, and you want to go to north, and you use all your power towards going towards south, you are done. No matter how talented you are, your direction is wrong. You are never gonna reach north. So direction is very important. So you have to study the books. You have to study them. And how you are going to study them, he is going to tell you in the later chapters of this essay, in the later part of this essay. It's a small essay, just 500 words. And he has given so much information in those 500 words that you can not get them from many books of many, I think the modern philosophers have got their word from Francis Bacon. So after this proposition that why studies are beneficial to you in the three ways: ability, ornament, and delight, entertainment. So he explains further. He says, for expert men can execute and perhaps judge of particulars one by one, but the general counsels and the plots and marshalling of affairs come best from those that are learned. It means that there are men who are very much experienced, extremely experienced. They had seen more events than you will ever see in your life. They have traveled a lot. They have met many people. But, and another thing, they can form their opinion on everything because they have experienced a lot. But Bacon says that these people who are experienced and can form a correct opinion of every little things. But creating an idea and then planning it and then executing it, creating an idea, then making a plan, blueprint, then how to execute it, then executing it. He says that a proper marshalling of affairs, these three things can only be done by learned men, that those who have read a lot, studied a lot. So we can say this is a deadly combination of reading and having an experience. So you cannot have anything better than this. So experience can only make effort easier. If you have driven a car once in your life, you must have felt it. It is very difficult to put your concentration on all the things: gear, clutch, brake, accelerator, steering. You have to look at everywhere. And then after you do it again and again and again, the experience you learn and it becomes easier. But if you have read about the car, the functioning inside of it, you can just do it easily. If it gets broken down in the middle of the road, you know where to hit the nail and where to pound the nail, and you can get your car repaired. So you can tinker with your car with just knowledge of how your car works. So but experience with the knowledge is a deadly combination. So this is a combination of perfect advice, perfect planning, and impeccable execution, which is done by learned men. Further, now in the first 4 or 5 lines, Bacon has told you that why should you study and how you can improve your life by studying, because you can entertain yourself with the studies. You can, if you are going out meeting friends, you can impress them with your study, and you have to impress people because that's how you grow. If people don't get impressed by you, how you are going to lift your head up and look in the eyes of people? You want your image to impress everyone around you, whether you know it or not. Everyone wants that. Even a shy person wants to impress everyone. It is not just about the person who is ostentatious, but it is about everyone. So, and for ornament, ability, and when you are in private. So, after describing in a eulogical way the benefits, the pros of study, he is going to tell you that why shouldn't you do it over? You shouldn't go over the board with the study. Why? Because it is going to make you feel lethargic. It is going to make you slow.
Bacon says to use, let me read this for you. To spend too much time in studies is sloth. To use them too much
for ornament is affectation. To make judgment holy by their rules is the humor of a scholar. If you study too much, if you spend too much time into study, you become cerebral. Because if I am standing right now, sitting here studying all the time, then my body is going to become lethargic. My body is not functioning in a way when I walk, when I exercise, but only my mind is working. And this is too much extreme, because it is going to make you very cerebral, and it is going to make you lethargic. And to use them too much for ornament is affectation. It's a show off. If you're just using books to get ideas to only impress people, it won't work. People will know that you are showing off, because to impress people with your ideas is a byproduct of studying well. And here you are focusing on impressing others. So it is a complete upside down. You are working on the byproduct, and you are working on the result, which is going to make people believe, will make people believe that you're just using it for show off. And to make judgment holy by their rules is the humor of a scholar. If you use books, what is in the book? You are confronted by a tiger, and you are opening your book and to see that what should we do when we see a tiger, and by the time you turn your page, you are in the stomach of the tiger. So you shouldn't make judgments on the basis of only books. Use the books when you are at home, read them again, but when you face the real life situation where you have to take a judgment, to make judgment in just 1 second, without at the blink of an eye, you have to make a judgment, and you have to use your own strength to make that judgment. So these three things you have to keep in mind, that why shouldn't you study too much? I think you really should study if you're not studying at all. At least you have to start studying. But some of you who would be spending too much time into study to avoid other things, you should keep in mind, you should read this essay, especially these lines. I think the whole essay should be read. Now, let's move ahead. The perfect nature are perfected by experience, for natural abilities are like natural plants that need pruning by study, and studies themselves do give forth directions too much at large, except they be bounded in by experience. We have natural abilities, and our natural abilities need directions, and the only way we can get direction is by good books, because everyone cannot have a mentor. So just like in pruning is the modern word. You cut down the dead leaves of a plant, dead flower, or you make some changes by giving it a trim, or you trim a plant to give it a perfect shape, the desired shape that is going to add beauty to the house. So the same thing books do to your personality. It is going to trim the demerit which is holding you back from your success, that is holding you back from enjoying your life, that is holding you back from doing the things that you always wanted. So books can reflect those things in you, and they can do the trimming part of your character, and you can make your character, you can make yourself desired by you. You can make yourself, I think humans are the only one who can change themselves. A dog cannot change himself or herself, but the human can. And with the help of books, you can change, and you can take your personality into a desired path. So this is the gift we have got from the Almighty nature, or God, whatever you say it. So further continuing. So studies plus experience. Books give you direction, and your observation has to fulfill the direction given by the books. So experience plus reading is a deadly combination, as I have already said earlier, and Bacon is saying in his essay. And further he says there are three kinds of people who are going to use studies, who are going to look at the studies. Crafty men, the deceiver, they are going to hate studies, because those crafty men, the people who can get things done in a shortcut manner, They want money, they are going to steal it. How they are going to steal it? They are going to manipulate the men and get money from them. Because making money in a legal way is it's a long way. It is going to take a longer time. You have to study a lot, you have to work a lot, you have to fail a lot. But just going to a house and do a burglary, attempt a burglary, it is easier. It is risky, but it is easier for many people. So crafty men, they are going to hate studies, because if they study will force them to give up their means. Give up their illegal means of making money. Simple men are very simple. They just admire the studies. That's it. They will just join their hands and say hello to the studies and nothing else. They are just going to just appreciate them. But wise men, they are going to study it. They are going to study the books. They are going to study the particular books that they are interested in and whose content is going to help them. For example, a singer can study the technical books related to singing, and he can use that knowledge to enhance his singing. So different books are going to serve different purposes for you, and wise men are going to use that knowledge in his or her favor. So that's the observation that he had. And further, he is going to tell you that you do not need to read to contradict everyone. Study not to contradict and confute, nor to believe and take for granted, nor to find talk and discourse, but to weigh and consider. You do not have to study so that you can shut everyone off. Benjamin Franklin in his autobiography said that he read too much, but he fall into disputes with everyone. No one can have a healthy conversation with him because he was always nullifying others. He was humiliating others by criticizing their opinions. And soon he realized that he is losing friends. He is losing friends because he was winning the debates. So he stopped it. He started to understand things. So not to believe and take for granted, nor you have to believe everything that book says. You do not have to take the things written in the book for granted. What you have to do, you have to weigh and consider. You have to read it. You have to ask questions that whether it is right or wrong, whether it is factual or not. Then you have to draw your own conclusion. The inductive method that I talked earlier in this lecture. And then he is going to talk about the 3 kinds of books. And he is going to use the metaphor of food. You chew chewing gum, you don't swallow it. So in the same way, you have to chew some books. You just have to read them, skim them, but you do not have to put them inside your tummy, because those things are not to be digested. There's nothing in them. And you also, you want your body to get maximum nutrition, whether or not you like them. That's why you take pills. That's why you take supplements. That's why you take some foods that are not good for the tongue. They don't feel so tasty, but they definitely give you nutrition. So in the same way, some books are to be chewed and digested. That is, some books are to be read only in parts, others to be read but not curiously, and some few to be read wholly with diligence and attention. So the second kind of books, you can read their summary, and just once you can read the whole book. But then you do not need to read it again, because there is nothing much. But there is a third kind of books which you have to read them with full attention. You have to chew them perfectly, and then eat it, and then gulp it down to your tummy, and then your body will digest it, and then that content from the book will reach your flesh and bones, and that book will become a part of you, and you will become the part of that book, and that's how you will improve upon. So you have to decide to read those books with full attention. Further, some books also may be read by deputy, extracts made from them by others, but that would be only in the less important arguments and the meaner sort of books. Else distilled books are like common distilled waters, fleshy things. So he's talking about the guides and the summary books that we use it for exams. He says they are helpful but they are just flashy things. Just like a distilled water, there is nothing new, no nutrition in distilled water. So there is nothing you will find in a summary book, because a lot of things have been lost in paraphrasing that original great content. So read the original work, read the good original work, and then make your own opinion of it. So you can read guidebooks, but those are only good for less important matters. For less important matters, you can use those guidebooks to read them. And the summary is available. Summary of great books is also available. But that is not going to improve your skill. End of discussion. So then Bacon is going to talk about 3 skills related to language: reading, speaking, and writing. If you can do 3 things with the language, you know that language well. So with the first thing, reading will make you a complete man, a man with well-developed mind. And speaking, if done regularly, it is going to make you spontaneous, because if I am talking to you right now, I am not pre-planning anything. I am just speaking spontaneously to you. So in conversation, it is going to make you spontaneous, and just words will come out of your mouth, and it is going to make you get into the state of flow. So speaking has its own, I think there is another word I should use: discourse, conversation, because you can speak inside your home when you are alone, but in conversation you have to do it with another person. So writing requires you to be very, very precise. You have to use the correct grammar. You have to use the precise word, because your written paragraph, it is going to circulate around the world till the time it is being circulated, and you have to be very, very precise and terse in your writing style. You may choose any word, but the word you choose has to have some weightage. So if you do these prescribed activities, then you must have a great memory, wit, and skill to show that you know everything. So there are subjects whose reading will enhance several faculties of your mind. Histories they are going to make you wise. Why? Because people have committed some crimes, people have taken some great decisions in particular situations, and if you read those historical books and read those events in those different time zones, in different ages, then you're going to use your mind to see that what I can learn from these events. So then poetry, it is going to make you witty, because what do poets do? They say many things in just 2 lines, 3 lines, 4 lines. So wit means the intelligent, the ingenious use of words on the paper to describe the feeling which is indescribable with the use of words or in prose. So learn how great poets encompass their thoughts rhythmically into few lines, and you will become witty. You will become witty if you read them. Mathematics is going to refine your intelligence, because it requires great amount of concentration, and your intellect dealing with facts and numbers will enhance. Nature philosophy is like the science. Nature philosophy is much like a science. So when you study natural philosophy, just like physics, chemistry, it is going to give you depth. That is going to make you give you the depth knowledge of how things work. Because in old days, people didn't know how Earth functions, where does it revolve, is Earth the center of universe, and finally we knew it by studying the natural philosophy, and it fills us with wonder. It is going to quench our thirst of curiosity. So, and then there is another subject, logic, your propositions which support your point of view while during conversation, and rhetoric, how you speak, how you say it, whether you can use the words to impress anyone, you can influence others. That comes in under the rhetoric. So these subjects, the study of these subjects, are going to give you benefit about these things that I've just described. So study, pass into character. Couldn't say anything better than this. Studies can purge you with any demerits. There are exercises which can help you in diseases, and that can help you prevent some diseases. For example, bowling for stones and kidneys, shooting. In the old days, you had to use your chest and your arms, so it is going to help your chest and heart, lungs for the healthy function. So, and walking is good for stomach. And if you can't concentrate, study mathematics, because while studying mathematics, if you lose your attention for a single brief moment, you have to start again and again with the game of numbers. Riding for head, and every defect of mind has a solution in studies. So studies are helpful in curing your mind, which will eventually make you successful in your work. So this is the essay written by Francis Bacon. It is a short essay, but the explanation requires a lot of speaking. So thank you so much for watching me, and thank you so much. I'll see you in the next essays of Sir Francis Bacon. Till the time, take care. Bye bye.